Hello, and welcome to Healthy California podcast. My name is Linda Brown, and I am the host of Healthy California, where my goal is to help educate you on your daily choices so we all can become healthy. I believe you, your family, your neighbor, and your community are all looking for better ways and simple ways to return to being healthy. Many of you have health issues or have family that's going through tough times that seemingly have no answers. It's frustrating. There are questions about health, environment, foods, exercise, and lifestyle, and it can be all overwhelming. And who do you believe? And where's the science behind it? This podcast will unravel the mystery behind being unhealthy and talk about little things that we can do in our lives to make a positive change in our health from all angles. So to be healthy, we need to have physical health, mental health, environmental health, financial and social health, and of course, spiritual health. Let's answer some of these questions to get healthy. What good is just listening to a podcast? I will give you resources as well, ways to take steps and make positive changes in your life to becoming healthy. This is a journey, not an assignment, so be kind to yourself.
Okay, welcome back everyone. This is Linda Brown. I am your physical therapist, your functional nutritionist, your coach, educator, and your host of Healthy California. Today is kind of a fun day. We are stepping away from our own dinner plates for a second, and we're looking down onto the floor and seeing what plates are down there. If you're like me, your pet isn't just a pet, they're family. And just like us trying to keep ourselves thriving, we can do the same for our dogs and cats. Today, I interview an expert on pet nutrition. She has a booth at the local farmers market and is trying to get the word out about keeping our pets healthy. We don't want our pets to just survive on basic kibble. We want them to thrive with vibrant energy, shiny coats, and long lives. Today we're diving into how to spot the check engine light on your pet's health, how to build a rock-solid wellness foundation, and my favorite part, what's actually for dinner. All right, grab your water or a cup of tea and let's get into it. So the check engine light for your pet. How do you know if your pet is actually healthy? Sometimes it's obvious, but pets are masters at hiding discomfort. It's kind of an evolutionary trait. So first, look at the coat. Look at the coat and the skin. According to Tenafly Veterinary Center, a dull, brittle coat or flaky skin is often the first sign of a nutritional deficiency, specifically a lack of omega-3 fatty acids. If they're constantly itching or have doggy smell even after a bath, their system might be dealing with internal inflammation. So itchy coat, flaky skin, and dull, brittle coat. The next one would be bathroom habits. So as a nutritionist, I talk about poop a lot. Actually, I think it was my second or third podcast because it's so important. Do they have chronic gas, loose stools, or even eating like non-food items like dirt? That can signal also a mineral deficiency or gut trouble. You know, pets can get gut trouble just like humans. And don't ignore behavior. Research in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior suggests irritability, brain fog in older pets, or sudden drop in energy isn't just getting old. It can be linked to a B vitamin deficiency or oxidative stress. If your high energy pet is suddenly a couch potato, it's time to look at the fuel. So we've spotted some signs now. How do we keep them healthy in the long run? So now that we've spotted some signs, how do we keep them healthy for the long haul? Functional medicine for pets is all about lowering the toxic burden. Just like us, pets are exposed to pesticides in the grass, chemicals in floor cleaners, highly processed or ultra-processed foods. They actually have very ultra-processed foods if you're giving them kibble or store-bought treats. And they're closer to the ground and are constantly sniffing, so they get toxins faster than we do. One of the biggest game changers is weight management. The Association for Pet Obesity Prevention notes that even being slightly overweight can shorten a dog's life by 2 years. So it's not just about the joints. It's about fat tissue secreting inflammatory cytokines that affect every organ. And I've talked about this before. The more adipose we have on our body, the more inflammation we are going to have because that adipose tissue actually secretes inflammatory molecules called cytokines, and they affect every organ in a pet just like they would a human. And let's talk about gut health. 70 to 80% of your pet's immune system is in their gut. Same as humans, we have up to 85% of our immune system is in our gut. So same thing. A study in the Journal of Animal Science showed that adding even a small amount of fermentable fiber, like beet pulp or steamed broccoli, can significantly improve their microbiome and immune response. And also movement is key. It's a key for everyone, even for animals, especially for animals. Exercise isn't just for weight. It's for lymphatic drainage, mental health, and joint lubrication. When you don't exercise your dog, they can't tell you that they're getting bored or that they can't tell you that they're going stir crazy. So they start behaviors, and we call these behaviors a bad dog or the dog is going crazy. They just need an energy release. They just need to be exercised. Many times they just need to be exercised. I can't talk about a healthy pet without talking about the big three. So vaccinations, heartworm, and then those pesky fleas and ticks. This is where we have to be really strategic. In functional medicine, we call this informed prevention. So let's talk about vaccines. We know they can save lives. Diseases like rabies and parvo are no joke. But according to American Animal Hospital Association, AAHA, we're moving away from a one-size-fits-all yearly booster. Instead of just blindly vaccinating every year, ask your vet about getting a titer test. This is a simple blood test that measures the antibody levels your pet already has. If their titer is high, they're still protected, and you might be able to skip that round of shots or vaccines. So avoiding unnecessary immune system stress. And that's the same for us as well. We put vaccines in us, but if we don't need to, then it's an immune system stress. So it's all about what is necessary, but as little as possible. I think dogs need to be vaccinated, but I really like the fact that they're recognizing that every dog is different and not all dogs need to be vaccinated all the time. So do your titer test. So the second one is heartworm. Heartworm is tough because it's transmitted by mosquitoes and can be fatal. However, your risk depends heavily on where you live. According to the American Heartworm Society, heartworm is a year-round threat in the south, but maybe not in the dry high desert or frozen north during the winter. In functional pet care, we don't love the heavy chemicals in some monthly chews, but we love the disease even less. If you live in a high-risk area, use the preventative, but support their liver afterwards. Again, this is just like humans. If we put something in our body, we want to make sure that our liver can process it. So if you're going to put something preventative on them, do something to support their liver, keep their liver healthy. And you can give them milk thistle, but do this under the guidance of a vet. I can't give advice on that. There is a reference in my show notes if you want to find a vet, or even you can just Google it and find a vet that can recommend a way to support an animal's liver. You only need to do this for a few days after you give them their heartworm medication. And finally, those fleas and ticks. Oh, I cannot stand ticks. They just give me the willies. Ticks carry Lyme disease and other nasty stuff. While the spot-on treatment or oral pills are effective, they're pretty much just pesticides. You're putting pesticides directly on or in your animal. If you have a low-risk pet, like a pet that lives indoors, like a cat that never goes out, or a dog that maybe just walks only on paved paths, you might explore more natural deterrents. Research shows that cedarwood oil or geranium oil can be surprisingly effective at repelling bugs without the harsh chemicals. But remember, if you're hiking in deep bush infested with tick, you're in the tick country, the chemical big guns might be the safer bet to prevent chronic Lyme disease. I put on my dog, I do this little concoction of cedarwood, geranium oil, lemongrass, and citron essential oils. It's just a concoction of essential oils. I put maybe a few drops in a spray bottle and then fill the rest of that spray bottle with water and apple cider vinegar, and I mix it up and I spray it on my dog. And it doesn't always get off the big ticks when we go hiking, but it keeps the majority of them like away from his long hair. And it's definitely good for mosquitoes. I take that same concoction with me when I go hiking, and it keeps the mosquitoes away. I spray it on my tent. It keeps the mosquitoes off my tent. It's pretty cool. And that's a natural option. Then what's on the menu? We're always talking about food, right? I'm a functional nutritionist. I have to talk about food. So this is the fun part. If you're feeding a standard dry kibble, think of it like us eating a box of cereal for every single meal. It's fortified, but not necessarily fresh. And then here's my interview with someone who is trying to spread the word and can give you healthy, smart ways to give your pets treats that promote longevity rather than inflammation. Today I am with Sheila. She is at Pet Wants, and I just have a few questions for you, Sheila.
Okay.
So we have pets. You have a beautiful stand here that has all sorts of healthy pet treats, foods, and you see a lot of people come through here with their pets. What are people looking for, and why do they care that their pets are healthy?
Well, a lot of additives and a lot of low grade or subgrade meats and things are used in the commercial industry. And so people have gotten wise to, being healthy, you need to have, healthy sustenance and healthy food. And so we do the animal byproducts from free-range, grass-fed, and no rawhide. And so what you put in is going to determine your health, and for people as well as animals. So that's why we have a pretty good following for that, because everything here is fully digestible, has nutritional value, minimally processed.
Yeah, so I every time I come here to this Saturday market, I always get treats for my dogs because I love my dogs. And I really, really think that it's very important that our dogs, our loved ones, are like our kids, for me anyways, we want to keep them healthy. So I always get this cod skin treat. When you see dogs that are maybe older than they should be, like physically, what do you think is going on in their body?
Well, the first line of defense, what I tell people, is the dog food, because the dog food industry is, especially the kibble, is cooked at too high temperatures, is carcinogenic, put a lot of crap in it. Even the greenies, or whatever they call them for clean their teeth and their breath, has plastics in them, so they get microplastics in their blood and things, which is all, anti healthy.
Right.
And so it speeds up their life cycle. I mean, dogs age 7 times faster than people do, and part of that is because of their diet, because it's not a healthy diet. So it affects their energy, it affects their skin and coat is elastic in any nutrition, so that's usually the first signs people see when their dog's not getting the right nutrition, is skin and hair issues. Then the energy level, all of that comes into play when they're not getting the right nutrition.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can look at your stuff here, and it doesn't say healthy on it. And I always tell the people on my podcast, if it has to say it's healthy, it's probably not healthy. I mean, you can look at
very good point. Yeah.
Like everything here, like there's all beautiful vegetables, and the vegetables don't have to say that they're healthy to just know that. So you look at your products and you just can see that they're so much healthier than what you would get at a dog food store, that on the package it says, well, it's healthy for you. Well, if it has to convince you, it's probably not healthy.
Right.
And what is your best selling treat here?
Honestly, dogs are like people. They have their own personal preferences in food and treats. So you don't have a one answer for each dog. I mean, I have popular things for certain breeds just because they're heavy chewers and they're looking for the longer lasting treats. And so I do always point those out. But like I said, it's all from free range, grass fed. So, they love it all, to be honest. But some dogs are just really particular. So
that's true.
I
know
and
that
some dogs have allergies, so you have to be, cognizant of that too, which is really unusual. But again, that goes back to a lot of the, dog food that they started them out with. They developed these allergies.
So I know that, like this cod donut right here, I know that is, I get those all the time. And my older dog, every time I get that for him, like for the next few days anyways, he has like itchy skin, and it gets better, like almost immediately.
Right, because there's omegas in
lot
this,
of
and
omegas.
omegas are great for the skin and the hair.
Yeah.
We also have the salmon from Alaska, and a lot of this stuff has natural collagen in it. There's something that has the natural occurring chondroitin, which is great for joint health. So, that's what they get in nature. If they were in the wild, they would get get this kind of thing.
So for people that have pets and they don't necessarily have access to this market, to this booth, what kind of things would you point out to them to look for in getting a healthy treat?
Just look for the minimal ingredients, which it should be a one ingredient item, unless they're doing some kind of cookies or something.
Right.
You don't want any preservatives or any kind of additives or anything other than just the natural ingredients. Like our cookies here, they have frostings made out of yogurt, and then it also has sweet potato and
my dogs
and
love those.
Peanut butter and those types of things. So you just have to really look at the ingredients, and if you can't pronounce the word, then don't get it. That means it's a chemical.
It's true for people too.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't pronounce it, it's a chemical, so you don't want it.
So for the people that are in Northern California, where can they find you? And do you have any online stuff?
Yes, we do have an online store, and we do the greater Sacramento areas where we service.
Okay.
And we also do shipping and deliveries. So,
so for the people listening, the name of this little store is a store, or you have a store as well?
They're working on doing a storefront in Granite Bay, but it's not open just yet.
Okay.
But
all right.
we serve. It's called Pet Wants / Roseville is the.
Pet Wants is the name of the company, and I think there's a Pet Wants booth in other markets as well.
Yeah, the owners said they do the Midtown, Roseville.
Okay.
We do Maydew Park, and then what other ones? Midtown's the biggest one.
Okay.
But yeah, we're all over. But like I said, you can order online too.
Okay, so Pet Wants, and I'll give you the website. It's petwants.com and /Roseville. And then you can just look them up, and they have great treats, very, very healthy for the dogs, because we want to take care of our dogs, because the dogs take care of us. Okay, Sheila, thank you so much. And I make stew for my dogs every Sunday when I'm doing my own meal prep. The stew lasts about a week, and I have 2 big dogs. And I pretty much put everything from the fridge in there from that week, like spinach, leftover veggies, carrots, potatoes, apples, blueberries. I put in quinoa. I put in flaxseed, maybe a tiny small amount of cranberries. It's good for their urinary system. You can put in an egg if you want. Some people will dry eggshells, crush it up, blend it, and stick that in there for a good source of calcium. I put that into a stew, and I boil it down, and then I add meat to it. I put in raw meat. However, you can put in any kind of meat you want, and I don't go fancy on the meat. I just go to the store and I buy whatever is on sale, the cheapest meat I can find. Sometimes it's beef, sometimes it's turkey, sometimes it's chicken, and I just put that raw meat into their stew, and then that stew is most of their dinner, and I still give them a little bit of kibble. So they're not completely off kibble, but I'd say it's probably about a third of what they would normally eat. And then I try to get good kibble. Your dogs will love you, and you will notice a change in their health, in their energy level, in their bowel habit. Everything changes, and it's great. And you feel good about feeding them healthy stuff. You don't have to go 100% raw or homemade to see the difference. PetMD suggests that even adding 20% fresh food to dried kibble can improve digestion and skin health. Think lean proteins like boiled chicken, turkey, eggs. And then it's also good to give them omega-3s. I'm the kind of person who, when I go to a restaurant, I literally bring home a doggy bag. If there's any leftovers, it goes in a doggy bag. I'll give them fish skins, I give them bones, I give them whatever is healthy and is left over. I give it to them. I was told earlier, a few years ago, that table scraps aren't good for dogs. But is kibble You mean table scraps, at least from a decent restaurant, table scraps are still healthy. And dogs, of course, need meat. They don't need all vegetables. But to add a little bit of table scraps, I think is a good thing. And you can add like superfoods for your pets would be like blueberries, pumpkin. Again, you could give them omega-3s from salmon or the salmon skins. That's good for their joints and their brain and their coat. And the things of course you want to avoid, I think you know, chocolate. And keep an eye on the xylitol. Some peanut butters have xylitol. Peanut butters actually can be good for dogs in small amounts, but just make sure it doesn't have any xylitol or excess sodium. And then try to avoid unnamed byproducts on the label if you are looking at labels for your dog food. If it says meat meal instead of like chicken meal, you don't know what that meat meal is. It could be any meat from anywhere. That should be a red flag. So the takeaway today is simple. Start small. And I've said that before. Start small. Maybe tonight you can add a spoonful of plain pumpkin to their bowl, or swap a processed biscuit for maybe a slice of cucumber or carrot. Those small choices add up to a lot more years of tail wags and purrs. So instead of buying and giving them traditional store-bought treats, cut up an apple or a carrot, go to Pet Wants, where I did my interview with petwants.com will give you very healthy treats that are good for your dog. And sometimes these treats can be a little bit pricey, but in the long run, it's not as pricey as high vet bills. When our dog or cat is not feeling well, we'll go to the vet and sometimes we'll pay anything just to get them back feeling better. But if you just spend a little bit of time and money, it definitely in the long run is still going to be less than an ER urgent care trip to the vet and surgeries. And our animals are part of our family, and it's very hard to watch them be in pain because they don't tell us until the very last minute. So I'm going to go through a Bible verse that I do every week. And this one is from Genesis 1:25, and it says, "And God made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds, and the livestock according to their kinds, and everything that creeps on the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good." We have to be good stewards to our animals because God created them for us. And He created them for us for, whatever, if it was to eat or to be our companion or whatever the case may be. But we have to be good stewards because God created them. And never did He create anything for us to abuse. So if you liked today's fun message on pets, send it to anyone that you know that has a pet. Check out the show notes for my references and a list of pet safe superfoods. Go to petwants.com, PETWANTS, to get some good treat alternatives, good and healthy. You can do this. Your furry friend is going to love it. Until next time, stay healthy, California, and keep those tails wagging.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. Health care and treatment should focus on being proactive and preventative, emphasizing the importance of addressing the root cause of a disease or illness. While the U.S. has an excellent trauma medicine system, helping patients when problems arise, our goals should be to prevent disease before they happen. That's why this podcast is so important to me. If you're needing further guidance or have questions on a particular matter, you can find my contact information in the show notes, where you can set up a 15-minute consultation. I also recommend you adding a functional nutritionist, a functional medicine practitioner, and a physical therapist to your healthcare team. This podcast reflects my personal opinions based on extensive research and education. It is not intended for medical diagnosis or treatment and should never replace the advice from your doctor or other healthcare professionals. To continue providing this free information, I rely on your support. Follow, subscribe, like, and share this podcast with your family and friends, or on social media. Don't forget to turn on your notifications to stay updated whenever I have a new episode released. Educating you and empowering you to take back your health is my ultimate goal. By gathering knowledge and implementing small but impactful changes, you can reclaim your well-being. This is a journey, not a quick fix, so be kind to yourself, and I'll be there to help. You got this.